There was video released late today, and it shows the moment law enforcement took down the man accused of hiding out with a rifle less than 500 yards from former President Donald Trump, who was golfing at his course in West Palm Beach, Florida yesterday. A Secret Service agent spotted the man in the bushes back at the golf course and shot at him. The suspect did not fire his gun at all. That suspect is 58-year-old Ryan Ruth. He made his first appearance in court today. His charges are related to federal gun charges, and the FBI says there could be more. And as authorities continue to investigate what appears to be an attempted assassination of the former president, the second in just a matter of months. That also means that for the second time, we're hearing both political parties accusing the other of fanning the flames that led to this moment. But what should we make of this relationship between violent political speech and actual political violence? Kent talked to someone about that today who has actually spent his career looking into it. Hi, Kent.
Hi, Jenna. Yeah, when something like this happens again in such a short amount of time, it's human nature to point fingers at dangerous political rhetoric, especially if it's at someone else or another party. But I spoke to an expert today who says we're not as extremely divided as it might seem, but the extremes themselves are growing and growing more dangerous.
Hours after another apparent assassination attempt on former President Trump, the finger-pointing, conspiracy theories, and worse have again flooded in. And the only thing that seems to be different this time is there are fewer calls for unity.
If it's that people are taking pot shots when there is a chorus of Americans who are talking in more violent terms.
Howard Levine is a political psychology professor at the University of Minnesota who's spent years tracking the views of U.S. adults toward political violence through surveys.
If you ask, is it okay to engage in a physical fight or to use physical pressure to oppose a policy or a candidate, increasing number of partisans on both sides say that that's okay.
To be clear, he says the percentages are still small. A survey of 2,000 adults in 2022 asked, how much do you feel it is justified for people to use violence to pursue their political goals in this country? 75% said not at all. 20% said a little or a moderate amount, while 5% said a lot or a great deal. And if you look at actual cases of physical political violence versus violent language or threats, he says the percentages are far smaller.
For 99.999% of people, it's an outlet for frustration, political or otherwise. And so what does that leave? 0.001%, hopefully it's fewer than that, who might take it to the next level. But they certainly can get access to a gun. Once they have access to a gun, all bets are off as to what will happen.
And it's not just presidents or political candidates at risk. A report from Reuters last year found that political violence is at its worst since the 1970s, tracking 213 acts of political violence following the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol.
Do you worry about this happening again or it being in one of those times in which we see multiple incidents of political violence like this?
I do, and I do because politics has become less about who gets what, and it's become more about cultural fights, which are less reconcilable. When things are black and white, right and wrong, it's harder for people to compromise. And when people can't compromise, when they want either all or nothing, the ones who are not getting what they want are going naturally to become angry about it, and anger is potentially precedes violence.
So, how do we prevent this, or at least stop this trend from growing? Professor Levine says that each political party must first decide that this type of speech isn't in their best interest. And he doesn't see that happening until at least after this presidential election. Jana.
And sadly, I'm sure many people watching would tend to agree with that because instances like this have already happened and it hasn't de-escalated. In fact, it's almost brought it up a little bit higher. Did he have any words to say about when we get closer and closer to a major election, does it get more dangerous or nothing like that?
That's something that, certainly as you see this kind of pressure ramp up and this type of language, he said it comes down to math and probabilities. So the more language that's out there, the more threats that might be out there online, the harder it is to just kind of sort through it, and obviously the odds go up. Again, though, it's very small, and if the Secret Service is on it, maybe then, preventing it on that level might help.
All right, thanks so much, Kent.